Britain is still basking in the success of a weekend at the London 2012 Olympics that saw gold medals in athletics, tennis, sailing and cycling. One of the big themes of this Olympics has been inspiring a generation. The slogan is everywhere in London, and the Olympic organisers even gave the honour of lighting the Olympic cauldron to a group of virtually unknown athletes. There's no doubt that the young British athletes will be inspired by performances by Jessica Ennis and Mo Farah, but at the grassroots level there are some real concerns about funding.
I won a silver medal at the Commonwealth Games in 2002. It was really difficult. I remember working and studying and training at the same time, so my diary was pretty full. This athletics track is in the centre of Lewisham. It's the only one in the borough, and the borough is massive. At the grassroots level, as it stands, there isn't enough funding because that's what I'm dealing with here, and I think we're the ones that need it the most because we need to actually engage kids before we get the drop-off rate, which is generally 14 or 15 years old.
The £235 million 4-year funding programme designed to help the UK's athletes prepare for the London Games has just ended. And now there are concerns in athletics clubs across the country that the funding could dry up ahead of the 2016 Games in Rio.
I'm not sure how much a big sports fan George Osborne is, but I think it's got to be a possibility it gets reduced. The main thing to take on board here is that these are long-term strategies we ought to be looking at. How much do we want to deliver sporting excellence, and how much do people of Britain want it delivered for them? Because you can't just turn it on and off every 4-year funding cycle. There has got to be some continuity, some long-term strategy.
The London Organising Committee Chairman, Lord Coe, says it's important to maintain the level of funding and warns there's a limited time to build on the success of Team GB. But in an age of austerity, it's a tough ask. A lot of the sports Britain has enjoyed success in require expensive kit, from boats to bikes, and half of Britain's medalists at the Beijing Olympics were privately educated. Lord Coe says investment in elite and grassroots sport must go hand in hand. And Lord Moynihan, chairman of the British Olympic Association, wants school sport to be overhauled.
What Michael Gove says is that we are giving head teachers more power, and if they want to go and spend on school sports, we are now giving them the power to do that, whereas Labour were very constrictive on what schools were able to spend on. But the fact is, if the government's cutting back the money, we can't expect that spending to increase.
Culture Secretary Jeremy Hunt admits that school sports provision is patchy in places and that more investment is needed at primary school level. But with the cuts to schools' capital budgets, is the government sending out mixed messages?
Sport's expensive, right? So the kit and clobber for 120 kids, 150 kids in every year, or at a primary school, just 100 kids in total, more likely. That costs a lot of money, and the government's cut the capital budget for schools. That's the cash from which you pay for kit and equipment. If I was to close my eyes and predict what we would end up with in 5 or 10 years as a result of the funding settlements that have been made in the last 2, I don't think more sport, and I don't think less patchy sport provision is what we would get.
There's an expression in athletics that the people charged with delivering government strategy are 9 to 5, and the people who are charged with delivering athletes onto the track are 5 to 9 because they're volunteers, and the people who are paid rarely get involved with the volunteers. That needs to change.
It would be great if the whole term legacy is being used, and it would be great if that promise is fulfilled, because as the games happen in all different sports, you're going to get loads of different people, new people coming into athletics, but we need the resources, and without the finance we can't get the resources.
It's no surprise that Lord Coe wants to make progress now while the country's Olympics mad. The concern, though, is that in a few years' time, when the Games move on and the Olympic effect has vanished, the issue of funding athletes and investment in grassroots sport will be way down at the bottom of the policy agenda. Australia is a good recent example of a country that hosted the Olympics only to perform poorly in the medals table just a decade later. Britain's got a taste for Olympic success right now, but it could well end up in a similar situation in the future. Daniel Garrahan, Financial Times, London.